So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's training. My name is Eric McKinley, and I'm an Executive Vice President Platinum in a personal financial success company by the name of MyEcon. MyEcon is a company that shows you how to take care of your personal finances. But that's not why we're here. We're here because of MyEcon. MyEcon has helped me and has shown me how to do some things, some phenomenal things with my finances. And because they have, what I'm doing right now is I'm sharing with you. Now, I want you to understand something. There's going to be some discrepancies in what I say. So I want you to trust me, but verify it, okay? I'm not a subject matter expert when it comes to hiring your child, but I am a subject matter expert when it comes to educating and training in the area of finances. So I want you to do your own research, okay? I want you to do your own research. I know that may sound contradictory, but do not just believe what I say. Do your own research because I'm human and I could be wrong as well. So let me go ahead and get this thing together. Here we go. And we are rolling, y'all. How to hire your child the right way. So, and here we go. Now, here's a disclaimer. I'm not a CPA. So don't ask me CPA questions. I don't know. Be real with you. The information in this presentation and on the websites that I'm going to be sharing with you, they're intended to be a general description, okay? It's not intended to be a tax or legal advice. That's not what this is for. This is to show you how to get started in hiring your child. Every business situation is different. It's unique. And every state is different with their laws, and the federal laws are constantly changing. So you got to know that every year the tax laws change. So be sure to do your research and consult your tax professional. I spelled that wrong. Don't worry about that. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. Make sure you consult your tax professional, not a tax preparer, before you start doing anything, okay? So here's the agenda. The advantages, age and relationships, what a kid can or cannot do, where do I go for more information, when or how soon can I get started. Hey, the rules are very important, guys. So rules, regulations, and legal requirements, the required documentation, and then frequently asked questions, and then we're going to do a Q&A at the end. Cool? Cool. So I see we got a couple more people jumping on, and as you guys jump on, I'm going to allow you to talk. Okay, just make sure you do me a favor and you actually mute yourselves, okay? So now, here we go. Allowances versus wages. Giving your child an allowance versus giving them a wage. And just so I can do my thing, I'm going to block myself out. Give me a second. Okay. So here we go. Allowance versus wages. Do y'all know the difference? Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I hear you, Jonathan. I hear you. I'm going to give you everything I got, bro. When I leave, there ain't going to be nothing left, okay? So, allowances versus wages. Your child needs school clothes. Your child wants to go to the movies with friends. Your child wants to have a birthday party, skate party, etc. Your child wants the new whatever shoes, jerseys, dresses, tops, dress pants, whatever, jeans, headgear. Your child needs an instrument at school. Your child is going abroad with a school, traveling, right? Your child is in drama class, fees are due. Your child needs or wants a new car. You want to take your child to Disney. You want to take your child with you to visit relatives in another state. You have to buy Christmas gifts for your children. You have to buy your son/daughter graduation packet. That is relative. That's relevant right there. There's a lot of kids are graduating right now. You have to buy your child a birthday gift. Your child needs a uniform for sports that he or she is playing for this year. Allowances versus wages. Why you should hire your children. Hiring your child is a great tax strategy. That's why you should. That's number one. Hiring your child is a perk of being a small business owner. You can teach your child or your children about your business and work ethic while gaining extra hands to get the task done. By not hiring your child, you're losing up to approximately $12,000 a year. That was in 2018. Right now, it's $12,400, okay, in 2020. You can take a deduction for the wages paid to your child. It's $12,400 for 2020. Okay, excuse me for the inaccuracies. This amount offsets the standard deduction. Paying your child for services performed in your business reduces your overall tax bill. Your child can pay for their own college or retirement fund. I say again, paying your child for services performed in business reduces your overall tax bill. Your child can pay for their own college or retirement fund. Now, what you can do is you can deduct their salaries from your business income as a business expense. Did everybody know that? You can deduct that from your business expenses. Understand, guys, we are business owners and we are using tax deductions, okay? We're using tax deductions to help legally lower our taxable income, all right? So, who? Child labor laws, regulations, under 14, 14 to 15 years old, 16 to 17 years old, 18 years old, and over. It must be your child or your grandchild. Now, I'm going to tell you something. When we talk about the child labor laws, we're talking about McDonald's. We're talking about Burger King, Pizza Hut, Domino's, any part-time job outside of your home. We're not talking about inside your home, but you still have to think about some of the child labor laws when you're actually doing this, okay? And I'll clarify that in a minute. Where do I go for more information? The IRS.gov website. We're teaching directly from the IRS.gov website. IRS publication 334, it's tax guide for small business. IRS publication 505, tax withholding. IRS publication 15, employer's tax guide, and it talks about how to hire your kids. And then you see the links right there, okay? I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of time because I know somebody's probably recording this or somebody's actually taking a picture. But if I find out that you're recording, I'm not doing any more training, I promise you. Just stay within the guidelines, guys. I'm gonna give you this information more than once. I promise you, okay? I promise you. So, what? Here's the what. What can you have your child do? They can do advertisements. You know, I can have my son out there on the corner actually handing out flyers, or in the mall handing out flyers. Set up or manage social media. My son is very savvy. He's got so many followers on IG, on Instagram, I didn't even know it. So, you know, I can have them do that. Event planning, they can plan your events. They can shred the paper. Once again, they can hand out flyers, okay? Anybody have any questions so far? I'm gonna pause for a second. Any questions so far? There's no such thing as dumb questions. So far, this is just basically general knowledge, okay? Cool beans? I'm moving along, okay. So when can I hire my kids? The moment I become or became a home-based business owner. So that means if you've been a business owner for several years and you haven't hired your kids, that means you missed out on tens of thousands of dollars of tax deductions. And you probably say, well, my upline didn't tell me. So, did you do your research? Did you do your due diligence in your business? It's not up to your upline to tell you everything, okay? We're independent business owners. Now, remember, we're in business for ourselves, but we're not in business by ourselves. So I strongly encourage everyone to do their own research to make sure they know what's going on, so they have a better understanding, okay? We need to all have better understanding of what is going on. We need to. If not, then that means that we don't know for ourselves. And if we don't know for ourselves, then we can't. So my daughter is 22 years and in college. Does she qualify? No, she does not qualify. She qualifies on your behalf because you can still write it off. But that 22-year-old, as a matter of fact, by the time they make 18, they have to pay taxes. Hope that helped out. Okay, hope that helped out. But we'll get into that as well, because here's the deal. Your child that's 22 years old, that's in college, why not put them in a home-based business? So that when you hire them, they can still use that extra money to pay for college, but then they have a home-based business so they can write off the deductions that they have as well. Something to think about, food for thought. Okay? So, moving right along. Caution. The IRS is well aware of tax benefits of hiring a child. They know more than we know, I promise you. They made the laws. If determined children aren't really employees, you can do a couple of things. Not too good, though. You can lose your tax deductions for their salary and the benefits, and you may have to pay taxes on those benefits. So don't cheat. Don't lie. There's no reason to. All you got to do is be in accordance with the IRS. That's it. That's all you got to do. And MyEcon, this information makes it really simple. Okay, not because MyEcon teaches this, because MyEcon literally does not teach this. But the people in MyEcon have done the research, i.e. me and several of my other business partners have done the research to make it easier for you. Okay? To make it easier for you. So, things that you need to know. So, we're talking about business structures. Okay? Business structures. S Corps, C Corps, and non-spouse partnerships. Okay? You can have, they can work for those, okay? They just got to be they have to be an employee in your business. The deductions increase every year, or the amount that you can use to pay them increases every year. The employer, let me see, it says the employer nor the employee. So you got to understand that as far as the employer nor the employee, I believe that's talking about when it changes, you got to know who you are and who you're hiring. Because you can actually hire your grandkids to lower your taxes. I'm gonna say that again. You can hire your grandkids to lower your taxes. Okay? And then it's tax-free. It has to be within accordance and it'll be tax-free. So they don't have to pay taxes. The employer can write it off as a business expense, and the employee doesn't have to pay taxes. Remember, we got to keep documentation. Documentation beats conversation. Why are we keeping documents? In case we get audited. That's why. We're keeping documents in case we get audited. Here's some rules to follow. Let's do it the right way, guys. The work's got to actually be done. We can't be making stuff up, okay? Can't be saying, hey, my kid's working for me, and they're not doing any work. The work has to be related to your business. I can't be walking around here talking about, hey, I got my son sweeping up my kitchen, and I'm working in my home office when he could have been shredding papers. Okay, I can't be paying my son for folding clothes, and that has nothing to do with my business. Okay, unless you have a t-shirt company or a laundry service or something like that. I don't know. The child must be capable of doing the work. You can't have a 2-year-old talking about you paying them to shred papers, or you paying them to do advertising by handing out flyers. Now they can do, the 2-year-old can actually do advertising, especially if you have them advertising via wearing t-shirts or via wearing hats or book bags or whatever like that. They can actually do that. Okay, they don't have to do anything, but they're just wearing the stuff. The amount paid for the work being done must be reasonable. Now, think about this. If I am going to hire someone, imagine I hire an office manager, right? I hire an office manager to do a certain amount of work, and I want them to be an office manager. So if I hire my son to be an office manager and he has one employee underneath him, I'm not going to pay him $5 an hour just so I can save money in my pocket. I'm going to pay him the same amount of money that I would pay an office manager because he has the same responsibilities, okay? You got to be careful that you have to keep written records. Got to keep written records. Those are for your records, okay? You cannot pay your child to do household chores. I say again, you cannot pay your child to do household chores. pay your child out of your business account. That's another thing you need to make sure you have. If you're serious about hiring your kids, you need to pay your kids out of your business account. Well, if you don't have a business account, make sure you have an account that you only conduct business out of. That there's no money that's mixing, okay? You have an account that you're only conducting business out of. Any questions so far? Questions? Questions? No questions? Okay, go ahead, Jonathan. You can unmute yourself, man.
All right. So, what if, like, for my business, sole proprietor, I have my regular banking account that I'm using.
Yes, sir.
Am I able to use that, or do I need to just go ahead and open up a separate account and maybe pay from, like, from a business line, like you said, that's separate just for business, and just use that to transfer over?
Great question,
Does that
man.
make sense?
Great. No, yeah, absolutely. Great question. Now, if you're not an LLC, if you're a sole proprietor, if you don't have an EIN, you're not an LLC, I strongly encourage you to open up a separate bank account that you only have business money going in and business money going out.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So even if you're new to business and you're just getting started, right? And the IRS already knows that you're going to have to take some money to get your business started. And let's say you pay your business $300 a month from the tax minimization that you did by correcting your W-4, right?
Correct.
You take
Yes.
$300 a month and you pay that into your business. out of that $300 a month, you may use that money to operate your business, i.e., paying your employees.
Understood. Okay, no, that makes sense.
Then you want to make sure, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but you want to make sure that the children that you're paying, they have their own separate bank account.
Cool. Okay, roger that. 10-4. I got that.
Okay.
Cool.
Now, when that happens, and I'm gonna move on, but when that happens, you can either write them a check once a month or every 2 weeks, or you can physically, digitally transfer that money, but make a note because you still have to have some type of trail. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, man.
Cool. All right. So here's some rules to follow. Doing it the right way. When hiring your children, you need to be careful to treat them similarly to any other employees. We're talking about this right now. So you fell right into the same. You fell right on time, Jonathan. Such as keeping detailed employment records. Keeping detailed employment records. Why do I need to do that? Real simple. You're going to keep detailed employment records on your employees. Your employer has detailed employment records on you. So you want to make sure you have all those records, including timely tracking of weekly hours, timesheets, wages that correspond to services that they provide. Guys, this is not a deterrent, I promise you. It's easier than it seems. Issuing paychecks as you would a normal employee. For example, bi-weekly, twice a month, or monthly. Documenting the services that are legitimate and considered ordinary and necessary for business. Ordinary and necessary for business. Is it ordinary and necessary that we go out and eat every day? No, not necessarily. But it may be ordinary and necessary that my son or my daughter sweeps up the office every day. So you want to think about that, okay? Let's see what we got going on here. All right, so that makes sense. Ensuring the services provided do not include typical household chores. Now listen, if I have a business function at my house, I just had a presentation, I had 15 people at my home, and I used some dishes. Well, my son washing those dishes would be ordinary and necessary because I just had a business function. But if we just kicking it one Friday or Saturday night, and I say, hey, son, go in and wash some dishes, and then I say, I'm going to pay you for it out the business account. No way, Jose. Does that make sense, y'all? Cool? Cool. Mr. Shaw, you got the floor.
No, I was going to agree with you. I hit raise hand, but I'm agreeing with you. I was like, I hit the wrong button, but
No,
I
you
agree
good.
with you 100%.
Yeah, we can't do that because that's a manipulation and an abuse of what we're doing. And that's what makes a lot of business owners fall and fail, because we're doing things that are improper when we don't have to. All we gotta do is work our business, y'all. That's all we really gotta do. All we really gotta do is work our business. I see T. Adams raised their hand. You got a question or comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, for the 22-year-old that's in college, if it's a college student who's single and doesn't have any other income. I've heard of people who say they paid their college child to market and advertise their business while they're on campus. So suppose they get a T-shirt with the business information on it and some business cards, and if they're marketing personnel while on the college campus, they can be paid up to that standard deduction amount. Is that right?
That's wrong. But I'm gonna tell you what's right. So whoever mentioned that to you, they were bending the rules. At 18, they have to pay taxes.
What if they don't have? That's if they make over that standard deduction amount, though.
They
right?
still have to file taxes though. See what you're getting. I think what's being misconstrued is the dollar amount versus the age.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Ms. Adams?
Yes.
So this is how you fix that, okay? And there's some workarounds for that, but this is how you will work around that, okay? Now you gotta take care of that child because they're still in college, right?
Right.
Okay, so now here's the deal. You can still hire them and pay them less than the standard deduction, but they're still gonna have to file taxes. Now they may not owe taxes on that money, but they still have to file taxes. Whereas a child that's under the age of 18, they can file taxes and they're not gonna have to be required to pay them. Does that make sense?
Okay, so I think the thing is as long as you pay them less than the standard deduction amount, they might have to file, but they still not gonna have to pay nothing.
They're definitely gonna have to file, but they may not have to owe.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So the thing that I would do for that 22-year-old or whoever that is, I would say, hey, look, they're gonna get a part-time job somewhere, right?
Right. Or sometimes a lot of parents that I've been talking to, they basically are supporting their college child and they not working.
I got you. But think about it. If that child gets a part-time job, why not work part-time in my business?
Right. Okay.
You work part-time in my business, two things are gonna happen, Ms. Adams. Two things. One thing that's gonna happen is I'm gonna shift that money from my taxable income to my non-taxable income, right?
Right. That's the goal.
Yeah. So that's one thing that's gonna happen. Then I'm shifting it right back into my own household because I'm taking care of my kids, right?
Exactly.
Then on top of that, even though I may not pay that child a certain amount of money, but the money's still going to them, I'm gonna make sure they're covered. So I would rather them get a part-time job working for me in the business and help grow the business, right?
Right.
Versus them going out getting a part-time job, them spending time and money and all that stuff and gas and going out, and then they're just losing more money than they're actually making.
Mm-hmm.
So the right answer, the correct answer is this. At the age of 18, they have to file taxes. They have to pay taxes on that money. They may not owe taxes on that money, but they have to file them and possibly pay. Okay?
Okay.
That help out?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. The age is 17 or under. They're clear. At 18, IRS publication 15 talks about now from 18 to 21, you can pay them for domestic work. You can hire them for domestic work. But at 22, it's a wrap. They're done. And that was on IRS publication 15. I want to say hire your family members. I believe it was on page, I want to say it was chapter 3. But just research IRS publication 15, hiring your family members, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Anybody else? Questions or comments? Okay.
Hey, Ken, I'm sorry, not Ken, but
Go ahead.
what do you mean it's a wrap, Eric? What do you mean it's a wrap at age 21, 22?
22, you can't, they have to pay. Okay, so here's the deal. We want to use the system to legally lower our taxes.
Right.
From 0 to age 18, from 0 to age 17, excuse me, you can hire them in your business and they don't have to pay taxes, and you can write off up to the standard deduction.
Right, I get that part.
From age 18 to 21, you can hire them for domestic work. They still have to pay taxes on it, but you can hire them for domestic work. At age 22, you treat them like a full-fledged adult. They got to pay taxes.
Right. So when they're doing this domestic work, are they paying taxes on
Yes,
that?
yes. But here's the deal. Are you looking to save money, or are you looking to educate your kids and family as well? Because you can easily put them in a home-based business situation to where they can legally lower their taxes and they won't have to actually owe taxes either.
I'm looking to educate because I don't have any kids.
So now when you think about the person that has kids, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
they may separate some of the expenses. Like you have that child that's a young adult, and you say, hey, you have a portion of your cell phone bill, you have a portion of this rent to pay, you have a portion, and you have them sign a lease for rent. So they have legitimate expenses that they can actually legally lower their expenses. Does that make sense?
I get that part. I'm just trying to figure out what's the difference between them being 18 and 23 or 25.
IRS publication 15, chapter 3.
I'll look it up.
You ain't sound too happy about that.
No, it just doesn't make sense. I just feel
Well,
like
I didn't write the publication.
I know, I'm just trying to figure out why to me, they just pay taxes. They just have to pay taxes.
Is this
Like
Miss
anybody
Roberts?
else.
Is this Miss Roberts?
Yep.
Man, I should have known it was Miss Roberts. So, Miss Roberts, this is what we're gonna do, okay? At the end of this, we're gonna pull up IRS publication 15. I'm gonna let you read, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
It's a section that talks about from 18 to 21. A lot of people don't talk about that section. They just talk about kids under the age of 17. Under the age of 18.
Right.
So does it make sense? No, it doesn't. Does it make sense to give a kid that's 18 years old $100,000 in student loan debt? Absolutely not. It doesn't make sense to give a young adult that's 25, that much responsibility, because they don't know.
Right. I know
They
that's
don't
right.
know. But the IRS and the government doesn't care.
They sure don't.
They don't care. So I sympathize and empathize with you. But right now, I'm just running it down to you. Okay?
All right. No, I'm listening.
I got you. So
All right.
you're welcome. Thank you. That's a good question. And we're gonna clear it up. You want to ensure that the services provided don't include typical household chores, okay? So legal requirements, doing it the right way, keeping time cards on file with the hours worked. If you go to a job, do you have to clock in or put your time in or type your time in? Yeah. Do you have to fill out a W-4? Yeah. Do you have to complete your citizenship, your I-9 or your W-9? Yes. You got to file a state withholding report, W-2, W-3 for your employees, children yearly. File an annual federal unemployment return, even though your child is not paying taxes. These are just records. These are legal requirements. Okay, if you do it once, it's going to be easy to continue to do it every year. Report your child's SSN and then apply for an EIN. These are the legal requirements, okay? This is doing it the correct way. And these are the records that you're going to keep on file. Now, these are the suggested documents. Now, I recommend that everybody who gets a job, they actually got an offer letter, right? So employment agreement contract, you want to get job description titles, offer letter format, a timesheet. You see as it turns to red. Red is required. Okay, EIN. You can do an EIN for your child. It's not hard. You can do an EIN for yourself. It's not hard. Form W-2, wage and taxation, tax statement. The Form W-3 is suggested. W-4 is required. I-9 is required. And then you got your Form 940, Employers Annual Federal, the FUTA taxes, okay? We're coming up to the summary and the recap, and I did change these numbers here. Now, the whole idea is you want to reduce your overall tax bill. So if you're out there talking to people talking about, hey, you can hire your child, but you know nothing about what you're talking about, don't say it. I just got to say this, y'all. I have to. Don't get mad at me. I have to say it. If you're running around telling people that you can hire your kids, but you don't have any idea how to hire your kids, just don't say it until you find out how to do it, or if you have a child that you're doing it yourself. Either do the research, either do the research and understand how to do it, or don't say it. Because people are asking, how can I hire my child? And you don't have an answer. Many people don't have an answer, okay? This is not me beating you up. This is me saying, hey, if you came to me talking about, hey, you can lower your taxes if you hire your child, and then you say, well, how do I do it? And you can't explain it. I don't know about you, but I'd be upset. But if you don't do this, if they don't do this, this is also the amount of money that they're going to be losing by not hiring your child. So if they take that $12,400 for 2020, they can lower their taxable income. If they don't hire their kids, they can't. So there's people out there right now with home-based businesses that have been in home-based businesses for years, and they haven't hired their kids. Some of them are paying their kids through their business, but they haven't hired their kids the correct way, okay? Also, you got to treat your kid the same way you would an employee. When you're hiring your child, you want to make sure that you have them fill out the W-4, keep detailed records, that's a must, and make sure you follow any age restrictions for the work that's performed. Case in point, let's talk about age restrictions really quickly. Okay, case in point. Let's say I have a 9-year-old, okay? I can't work that 9-year-old past certain hours, and you'll find that also in IRS publication 15. Let's say I have a 14-year-old, and I can work my 14-year-old for 2 hours a week, 2 hours a day during the weekdays. After school, they can do 2 hours a day. 2 hours a day times 5, that's 10 hours during the week. Then let's say I can work them 4 hours on the weekend, all right? 4 hours on the weekend, that's gonna be 8 hours. That's a total of 18 hours, all right? So just make sure you think about the age restrictions when you're doing it, all right? This is the time that I'm gonna actually go ahead and open it up for questions. And while I'm doing this, I'm gonna bring up that publication. I'm gonna bring up the publication because I want everybody to see this, okay? So as I have people on the call, hey guys, listen, feel free to unmute yourself. I'm still recording, but feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question or comment. The call is open.
Hey, Eric, Sidney, I saw some information where it says to hire your kids, they have to be between the age limits of 7 to 17. Can you expound on that any?
Yes, sir. Where'd you see that?
I was searching online for it, and that's one of the points I pulled up online. It just said an age limit of 7 to 17.
Okay, cool. So let me ask you a question, sir. Do you know about Hollywood? Not a trick question, Mr. Sidney.
No, other than where it's at, but no.
Okay, so have you ever seen any kids in Hollywood working?
Oh yes, plenty.
Yeah. What about the Gerber baby?
Yes.
That Gerber baby 7 years old?
No, indeed.
Well, what you think, Mr. Sidney?
I think you can hire them. I was just trying to see it.
Yes,
Did
sir.
you have anything to say on that as far as your research?
I do. I absolutely do, and I'm gonna show you that here in a minute. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
And that was one of the things I was talking to my wife about. I said, you know what? Somebody's gonna ask this question. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
That Google page right there.
Yes.
That thing I right there.
Yes.
That's one of the last things I typed in. So you're not gonna see anything too much, right? You see that where it says 14? That's talking about the laws and everything. It
Yeah.
says hiring your new tax laws makes hiring your kids the tax guy, blah, blah, blah. It's a whole bunch of stuff in there, right? So I'm gonna click on this, right? I think this is where I saw this. Oh, let me see. Okay. Tax advantages for hiring your kid. Say you operate a business as a sole proprietorship, as a single member LLC that is treated as a sole proprietorship for tax purposes, as a husband/wife partnership or an LLC. So you got to be doing it together, or you got to be an LLC or sole proprietorship, and you got to own it, okay? It says, great. That means that you can hire your underage 18-year-old child as a legitimate employee, okay? Then it goes on to say their wages will be exempt from Social Security tax, Medicare tax, and federal unemployment tax. And then it says, in fact, the federal unemployment tax exemption lasts until the employee child reaches the age of 21. Now, here's the deal. I know exactly what you're looking for because I've been looking for it since I've been in the business, okay? There's gonna be some things that talk about you cannot hire your child unless they're 7. But if I cannot hire my child unless I'm 7, and then I go to Hollywood and let my child be a Gerber baby, am I gonna let them do that for free? You still with me, Mr. Sidney?
Yeah, I'm here.
So here's the thing. A lot of people are gonna say that you cannot hire your child unless they're 7. But as a 2-year-old, as a 1-year-old, they can't work, but they can be used as advertisement.
Okay, I got you.
So under the age of 18. But you have to make sure that you're doing it in accordance with what they can do. So hiring a child at the age of 1 doesn't mean that you're gonna pay them $12,400 a year, right?
That's correct.
But if I tell you, hey, Sydney, I spend $200 a month on advertisement, and that's the average that I spend, $200 to $300 a month on advertising for my businesses. But I take my child and I drop some T-shirts on them, and I drop some onesies on them, and I have their bags and stuff tatted up with all my business gear, and I can actually legally and legitimately say, hey, I'm paying them $200 or $300 a month for advertising.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so here you go. In fact, with the Tax Cuts and Job Act increasing, the standard deduction is up to $12,200 for 2019. Children employed in a family business can earn that much in income and enjoy a 0% tax rate on the income, at least for the federal tax purposes, all without facing the kiddie tax, okay? In addition, many states are gonna also permit the child or the children employed in businesses to avoid unemployment taxes. The children working for their parents' sole proprietorship, we just read about their LLC, they may also avoid FICA taxes, which is material savings for many families, okay? Let me see. I read this today. This is where I was, brother. I was here. Where it was talking about the age, and it was saying under the age of 18. That's what it said. It said under the age of 18. It didn't say 7 to 18.
Okay, thanks, man.
Does that make sense, though?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So I'm not going to tell you to go out there and pay $12,000 on a child that's 3 years old. That's asking for it. But if you hire your child, and like my wife has a T-shirt company, she hires our grandkids, and they're out there wearing the gear. Well, she can pay them for advertisement, but their mom's going to have to file taxes. Does that make sense?
Yes, appreciate the clarity.
Yes, sir. Anybody else have a question or comment?
I would say when you looking up stuff, If it's on the IRS website, always go straight to the IRS website. Like, go to the head, don't go to the tail.
Well, thank you, Ms. Roberts. I appreciate that. And now, this is what I'd like you to do, okay?
Because I just read it in the publication 15. It's under 18.
Yes, we were getting to that because I answered his question before I answered yours. Remember, we was going to go to the publication 15, but I'm glad you researched it. And this is something else, y'all. I need y'all to understand this. Somebody's going to get ticked off of me right now. This is an independent business. This is an independent business. So if you've been in the business for 3 months and you heard somebody say that you can do something, don't ask me. Don't ask your upline. Don't ask, research it on your own. But I'm giving you the information to go out and research it. Even when June Collier, when Mr. Stokes says something, I go out and I verify it. You're right. Go to the IRS publications. But I remember saying IRS publication 15. I just wanted to go out and research because this is where people find things. Those things are not as necessarily, they're not necessarily right. I wouldn't believe it. But you have tax professionals saying that you can only hire your kids at the age of 7. And that's not true. It says under 18. So let me pull up the IRS publication. Okay. This is one of the most important things, okay? This is the most important thing is this. I promise you. Somebody's not gonna like what I say or how I say it. That's not this tonight. Okay, that is not this. What this is being responsible business owner, being a responsible business owner and doing the research for yourself. The reason why I'm doing this class, I'm gonna tell you why the reason I'm doing this class. I'm doing this class because somebody was complaining about nobody telling them how they can hire the kids. That's why I'm doing this class. I'm doing this class because somebody was whining and complaining, talking about nobody ever showed them how to hire the kids. That's the reason why. And I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and nip this in the bud and let's go ahead and get this thing done. Well, here's the issue. If you were at your job and you didn't understand something, what would you then do? Got to ask yourself that. What would you then do? If you couldn't figure something out, you go to a supervisor. If you couldn't figure that out, you do some research on your own because your job is your livelihood. So a lot of times, the questions that we asking, the answers are already there. We've already answered the questions. I want y'all to think about that. Chapter 3, family employees. Page 13. Chapter 3. I believe I said chapter 3. But don't trust me. Verify. Verify, okay? No, it wasn't you. It was somebody else. It was somebody before you that was whining and complaining. Yeah, I got a message just now. Y'all know about it now. I'm gonna keep it real. It ain't about hurting nobody's feelings. It's about being adults. And if you don't want to do the work, then you should not be in business. Child employed by parents. Payments for services of a child under 18 who works for his or her parent, trade or business are not subject to Social Security and Medicare tax. If the trade or business is a sole proprietorship or a partnership in which each partner is a parent of the child. If these payments are for work other than in a trade or a business, such as domestic work or the parent's private home, they are not subject to Social Security and Medicare taxes until the child reaches age 21. However, and then you see covered services of a child or spouse. You look at that later. Payments for services of a child under the age 21 who works for his or her parent, whether or not in trade or business, are subject to future taxes. You can look up the acronym, what that means for future. Okay, it's federal unemployment taxes. Okay, payments for services of a child of any age who works for his or her parent are generally subject to income taxes withholding unless payments are for domestic work for the parent's home, or unless the payments or for the work other than a trade or business and are less than $50 in the quarter, or the child isn't regularly paid, regularly unemployed to do such work. I know that's a mouthful. Under the age of 18. It don't say 7 to 18. It don't say 7 to 18. Okay. Scrolling down. And it talks about covered services. So IRS publication 15, 2020, chapter 3, page 13. Any questions or comments?
Eric, there was one question in the chat about putting a child's picture on a business card.
Creative. That's creative. I think that's creative. I think that's a form of advertisement. How old is the child? Doesn't matter, does it? Don't matter, Miss Kimberly. It doesn't. Putting your child's picture on flyers, right? Check this out. This is how I'm able to write off. This is how I'm able to write off my child's expenses. I hired my child, and you have a picture of them on a business card, or you have a picture of them on a flyer. I think that's pretty keen advertisement. I think it's pretty keen advertisement. I hired my child, ask me how, and they have their picture on there. I think it's very keen advertisement. What I also think, though, is as we go through this and we look at this, there's going to be several ways that you guys are going to be smart and think about how you can incorporate advertising and paying your child and hiring your kids. But I want you to understand that it has to be within a reasonable amount. Now, I can't tell you what a reasonable amount is, but I can tell you that a 9-year-old can't go out there and possibly turn wrenches on a business vehicle. You know, you got to be thinking about, hey, I'm paying my 9-year-old. I may be showing him or her how they can wash the vehicle, they can wash the company vehicle, but certain things that child won't be able to do. So yes, I think putting a child's picture on the business card as an advertisement or a flyer, I think that's a great idea, or a T-shirt for that matter. Hope that helped you out. Questions or comments? All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have any more questions. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, so if you are taking care of somebody else's child, like predominantly for the, I don't know, it may not even be a legal adoption or whatever, but that's your dependent, could you still hire them? Or I'm just trying to figure out how that will work. Like, maybe you took over your sister's children and you're like their legal guardian.
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, so this is what I would say. The IRS says that if you can provide information or documentation that you've been taking care of them, or you've provided care for them over 50% of the cost, and I believe it is over 50% of the year, at least 6 months out of the year, then you can legally claim them. And if you can legally claim them, then you can legally hire them and write off their expenses.
Okay.
But what I would recommend though, is even if they can't get like guardianship for whatever reason, I would definitely make sure I have documentation saying that they've been staying with me or that I've been providing care for them, because they don't necessarily have to stay in the same house for you to be taking care of or providing a household for them. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, you have.
I'm just thinking about a lot of situations where, like, I have a friend who her child doesn't stay with her. She stays predominantly with the dad, but she still provides for her, like, a lot, but she has to pay child support. And she's worried. I was trying to, help her out with, how she could, 1, claim her on her taxes, and 2, hire her to work with her on the weekends. You know, and I showed her the, you know, the tax laws and stuff like that. So she was just just clarifying, because a lot of people are just scared, you know, for the IRS, period. So yeah.
Can I make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
This is something that a young lady told me when I first joined the business. She was a tax professional. Okay. She's a tax professional. And I was so adamant about the tax laws that I crossed the line into talking to people about taxes. And a part of what you're talking about has to do with taxes. And the part that you're talking about that has to do with taxes is the part about claiming somebody for that period of time. Okay. Let's say somebody is divorced, right? And 1 year they claim, the next year they claim. That's an agreement. That's a court order. That's not an issue. That's legal. For the year that they claim them, then that year that they can actually hire their kids. Even hiring your kids on the weekend while you have custody of them, that's not an issue. But what this person told me, they asked me, they said, do you want to do taxes? I said, no, I don't want to do no taxes. Here's a lady. She was real forward. She was actually a butthole, but she got a point across. She said, we don't do taxes. And when we start getting over into that line of doing taxes and talking about taxes, that's when we start setting ourselves up, because we don't do taxes. Unless we're a tax professional, we don't want to even address those questions. What I would recommend to you is, I hear what you're saying, and it sounds very valid, and it's an easy answer, but I would strongly encourage you to not go down that rabbit hole. And the reason why is because you don't want people to think that My Econ or you does taxes if you don't do taxes. Now,
No, I don't. I always refer people to go to their tax person. She just wanted to know if that was something. I was like, yeah, you just need to go to your tax person so y'all can,
well,
work
I'm
it out.
gonna say no. That's not something that she can do, because if she's paying child support, the only way that she can write anything off if she's paying child support is if she has that child in her custody at that time. We can't write off child support. We just started being able to write off alimony again, because there was a whole year that we couldn't write off alimony.
No, she's not. I'm not talking about her child support. She's not in our business. She was asking if she would claim her, because even though she keeps her she keeps, you know how she pays child support, but they have custody. Both have custody, part custody. She goes back and forth during the week, back and forth during the weekend. So it is dual custody, but she still has to pay child support.
So on dual custody, there's still a timeline, and it talks about if that person has that child over half the year. The person that has the child over half the year is the person that can claim it. The person that has the child over half the year, that's the person that can claim it. The only thing that she can do as far as writing off or hiring, or writing off that area hiring, as far as hiring and writing that off, is the time that she actually has custody of that child.
Yeah.
But that dual custody, somebody's the domiciliary parent, somebody's the, whatever, that dual custody, even with dual custody, somebody by court order is deemed by the court to claim, whether they're doing it every other. Now, if they're doing it every other year, that's something different. That's something totally different. But if they're doing it, and for a long time, my kids, my ex-wife, I couldn't claim my kids at all. I was paying child support, I couldn't claim my kids, but they would come with me every summer, holidays and all that good stuff. But I couldn't write off anything. I couldn't claim anything. I couldn't do anything. So now in the business aspect, and I want everybody to hear this, in the business aspect, I want you to understand, if you got joint custody or dual custody, somebody's still the domiciliary parent, and somebody is still awarded by the court to claim that child. If it's every other year, that's cool. If you guys come with an agreement and write it down on paper and sign it and have it notarized, that's cool. There's a document that goes with that as well. But you got to be careful. I'm just saying, whether she's in the business or not, we want to be careful as to not give certain advice. Even if you're telling her to go back to talk to a tax professional, that's the best thing you could tell her, because the rest of it is going to be around the times of she may be telling you, or this person may be telling you part of the story and leaving out some very significant information. So that's just my recommendation. Anybody else got any questions or comments? Questions or comments? Can you put the child's picture on the business? I got that one. This is great. Took crazy notes. Got to run. Hey, man, listen. All I'm doing is sharing some information that I compiled, that I compared, compiled, did some research. I'm not saying this is 100% correct. Trust what I've said, but verify it. Do your own research. IRS Publication 505, IRS Publication 334, and IRS Publication 15. Once again, IRS Publication 505, 334, and 15. That will get you started. Go on the irs.gov website.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
How would you get a W-2 or say a 1099 for the person? Like once you pay them whatever you're gonna pay them, how does that get generated?
You have to create it. You have to create it yourself.
How you create it yourself?
The IRS forms. You can go on irs.gov.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. You can start off, and the reason why I tell people to start off with Google, you can start off with Google because it'll get you closer. But once you get to Google, try to match that with irs.gov. Okay? irs.gov is going to have those forms. You can go on the irs.gov, go on the search engine, and search W-2s. How do I create a W-2?
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? We coming up on 9:33. I only want to keep y'all an hour. Questions or comments?
And I'm gonna ask you a question offline.
Offline?
Mm-hmm.
You gonna call me? You
Yeah,
gonna
I can write. No, hold on. Let me get my pen.
hold on for a second.
Out?
Hold on for a second. So if nobody else has any questions or comments, I'm gonna go ahead and end the call. Okay, stand by.